It's no wonder that the Venerable Wind holds the Netherworld Pavilion in such disregard, unwilling to be on friendly terms with them. During the Four Great Sects Assembly, Xiao Yan's friend Lin Yan had already conceded, but Wang Chen of the Netherworld Pavilion still intended to deal a fatal blow. This clearly showed the kind of people from the Netherworld Pavilion. As previously mentioned, these years have indeed been filled with adventures for Lin Yan. Xiao Yan smiled at this, confident that the awkward and ugly movement technique Lin Yan was using was one he hadn't practiced before. Clearly, this was something Lin Yan had learned during his training over the years. Seeing Lin Yan able to hold on, Xiao Yan also felt relieved. Regardless, their relationship remained close. To see Lin Yan achieving so much naturally made him happy. The chaos in the arena continued, the entire square resembling a sieve, constantly filtering out participants, leaving fewer and fewer people inside. Especially when the number of people left in the arena dropped to about 11, the originally chaotic square suddenly fell into an unusual silence. Xiao Yan swept across the scene, surprised to find Lin Yan among them. However, he was the weakest in the arena. Aside from the 4 people including Feng Qinger, most were strong at the 7th star or even 8th star level. The reason Lin Yan could last until now was largely due to his peculiar movement technique. Lin Yan's prominent performance naturally attracted attention. Being able to persist up to this point as a 4th star Do Huang was indeed rare in many sessions of the Four Great Sects Assembly. However, this good fortune didn't last. After the 11 remaining competitors adjusted themselves, several malicious glances turned towards Lin Yan. One of them, a red-robed man who was an 8th star Do Huang, stomped his foot, shooting toward Lin Yan like an arrow released from a bow. Facing this sudden 8th star Do Huang, Lin Yan's expression changed slightly, immediately deploying his odd movement technique to cleverly dodge the attack. Meanwhile, the red-robed man's large saber created a swirl of saber flowers, his figure closely following, relentless. The saber light kept pressing Lin Yan back rapidly. A short while later, Xiao Yan stood up, narrowing his eyes as he watched Lin Yan in peril. He would not allow Lin Yan to die under someone else's blade. If it really came down to life and death, he would intervene without hesitation. Xiao Yan closely observed the battle between the two, his brows suddenly knitting together. In the previous combat, the red-robed man had several opportunities to injure Lin Yan but did not do so, instead seemingly chasing Lin Yan deliberately. Xiao Yan's gaze suddenly fell upon a cold-faced man in yellow robes closest to Lin Yan. This person was not unfamiliar to him, it was Wang Chen of the Netherworld Pavilion. At that moment, Wang Chen was like a venomous snake lying in wait, watching Lin Yan approach his range with a sinister smile at the corner of his mouth. Xiao Yan felt a chill, realizing that Wang Chen intended to use someone else's hand to kill. Just as Xiao Yan noticed Wang Chen's scheme, Lin Yan, who was retreating hastily, accidentally stepped into Wang Chen's attack range. The moment Lin Yan entered this area, a chill surged through his heart. Then, he saw the red-robed man retreating quickly with a sinister smile, catching a glimpse of a black whip filled with killing intent, like a venomous snake, lashing toward his throat. Confronted by Wang Chen's lethal strike, Lin Yan was suddenly seized with fear. Despite his advantage in movement techniques, he knew he was no match for Wang Chen, and hurriedly shouted.
"Stop! I concede!"
However, in response to Lin Yan's concession, Wang Chen let out a sneer. He always drew blood when he attacked, there was no question of retracting it. Seeing that he had conceded but the other party still refused to let go, Lin Yan's face paled as he cursed.
"Damn, what a shameless bastard!"
Just as Lin Yan was preparing to meet his death, Xiao Yan intervened. As Lin Yan closed his eyes to await death, a sharp aura burst forth from behind him, causing his body to involuntarily retreat violently. Then, he felt a warm hand patting his shoulder, and a familiar voice of resignation sounded in his ear.
"What are you doing here? Getting involved in all this?"
This unexpected voice stopped Lin Yan's thoughts in their tracks. His eyes flashed with surprise as he turned around, only to see a familiar face, which turned his joy into astonishment. Xiao Yan covered his mouth with a smile and whispered.
"Don't cause trouble."
Hearing this familiar voice, Lin Yan immediately realized what was happening. His eyes rapidly filled with uncontrollable excitement. He grinned, nodded, and said in a voice audible only to the two of them.
Good kid, how did you end up in the Central Plains?
Seeing Lin Yan's agitated expression, Xiao Yan laughed and waved his hand, indicating that this wasn't the place for conversation. Lin Yan then regained his composure, sweeping his gaze across the audience. The sudden change had drawn everyone's attention. Everyone could see that Xiao Yan had suddenly intervened, saving Lin Yan from the brink of death with overwhelming force. Around the square, there were many protectors from the Wind Thunder Pavilion. Upon seeing Xiao Yan's actions, they angrily flew over, their voices echoing loudly over the square.
Who are you? Why are you disrupting the assembly?
More than 10 Wind Thunder Pavilion powerhouses, wearing wings of Do Qi, surrounded Xiao Yan in the air, their gazes sharp, the sharp weapons in their hands emitting a faint glow. The sudden turn of events also took Wang Chen by surprise. When he came to his senses, his icy gaze locked onto Xiao Yan, releasing his grip on Lin Yan's shoulder. He looked up at the more than 10 Wind Thunder Pavilion powerhouses and said calmly.
According to the rules of the assembly, once a concession is made, one cannot continue attacking. But this person ignored the rules. You should be pursuing him. Why are you questioning me instead?
Upon hearing Xiao Yan's words, those dozen Wind Thunder Pavilion powerhouses were momentarily speechless. They had witnessed Wang Chen's behavior firsthand, but given that Wang Chen came from the Netherworld Pavilion and that the Netherworld Venerable was currently sitting in the grandstand, they could only pretend to be deaf and blind. However, they never expected Xiao Yan to step forward, and what surprised them even more was that this intruder was fearless. Wang Chen sneered, his voice laced with disdain. A small fry who relied on luck to get here, if killed, it doesn't matter. Lin Yan, with his fiery personality, heard this and his eyes burned with anger. He was about to step forward but was stopped by Xiao Yan. Lin Yan could only clench his teeth, staring at Wang Chen resentfully. In his memory, Xiao Yan was never someone who would endure humiliation silently. Holding Lin Yan back, he turned his gaze to Wang Chen and laughed coldly.
The reason you've managed to stay until now is simply because you're relying on the Netherworld Pavilion's reputation. There's nothing to be proud of.